Welcome back. Today. We're taking a close look at these remarkable George VI Canadian 1-cent coins, these boasting not only rich history, but also massive value for collectors. These coins have captured the hearts of collectors worldwide and command prices north of $300,000 in today's auction market. Let's get into the details. Starting with the 1945 George VI Canada 1-cent large date coin. This piece is an exceptional find for any serious collector, combining historical significance, rarity, and fascinating design details. To fully appreciate its value, we need to understand the context of the era in which it was minted. The year 1945 was pivotal not just for Canada, but for the world. World War II was drawing to a close, and Canada's economy and industry had shifted dramatically to support the war effort. Coin production was affected by wartime metal shortages, and mints around the world were adjusting to new priorities. George VI, who ascended to the throne in 1936 following the abdication of his brother Edward VIII, was Canada's reigning monarch during this turbulent period. His image on the coin serves as a direct connection to this crucial historical era. The 1945 1-cent coin was minted at the Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa, striking primarily bronze plankets that are 95% copper, 3% tin, and 2% zinc. The coin's obverse features the portrait of King George VI, designed by the renowned artist Thomas Humphrey Paget. Paget's portrait of the king was widely praised for its realism and dignity, capturing a young, strong monarch in profile facing left. On the reverse, the coin displays the traditional maple leaf wreath design, a powerful Canadian symbol, which encircles the denomination 1 cent at the center, along with the word Canada and the year 1945 positioned below. The large date style refers to the size and shape of the numerals in the year 1945, which collectors distinguish from the small date variety produced in some other years. Mintage figures for the 1945 large date 1 cent are fairly substantial, with approximately 33 million coins struck in total. However, the majority of these were released into circulation, and many have suffered wear, damage, or were lost over time. This makes well-preserved examples in circulated fine condition relatively rare and highly sought after by collectors. One of the key aspects that makes the 1945 large date coin particularly valuable is its scarcity in higher grades paired with the historical significance of the year. The war ending meant production adjustments and increased demand for coinage in the post-war economy, driving collector interest in coins from this period. The circulated fine condition coin still retains decent details on the king's portrait, including facial features and hair texture, as well as clear legibility on the date and reverse maple leaf wreath. Another point of interest for collectors is the metal composition. Since copper was a strategic wartime material, the 1945 pennies composition reflects a transitional period in Canadian coinage history, adding to its appeal. Additionally, subtle die variations exist in some examples, including minor doubling or minting anomalies, which can further increase a coin's value if authenticated. When it comes to the market value, the 1945 large date Canadian 1 cent coin in circulated fine condition has steadily climbed over recent years due to increased global interest in Canadian numismatics and the historical narrative attached to George VI coins. In today's auction market, such coins can command prices starting around $300,000. Especially when verified by reputable grading companies such as PCGS or NGC. Coins with exceptional eye appeal, strong strike, and minimal damage within the circulated fine grade range may fetch even higher bids, sometimes exceeding $350,000. Collectors are particularly drawn to this coin for its combination of affordability relative to more pristine mint state examples, while still offering a tangible connection to Canada's wartime era. As with all rare coins, provenance and certification play a critical role in commanding premium prices. Coins accompanied by clear documentation of their history or prior auction performances often attract enthusiastic bidders. Now moving on to our next coin, The 1950 George VI Canada 1-cent large date coin in circulated good condition. This coin belongs to the post-war era, yet still falls under the reign of George VI, whose influence over Canadian coinage extended. Until 1952, the 1950 penny offers a unique glimpse into a country transitioning from wartime austerity toward post-war recovery and growth. Like the 1945 version, the 1950 large date penny was minted in bronze, with the same metal composition. The obverse showcases the classic portrait of King George VI, again by Thomas Humphrey Paget, maintaining the dignified profile that became iconic for this period. The reverse retains the maple leaf wreath design surrounding the denomination and date. Collectors recognize the large date style here as well, characterized by taller and wider numerals. In the year 1950, the 1950 coin was minted in very large numbers. Over 84 million coins were produced, making it seemingly common at first glance. However, the true rarity lies in finding well-preserved circulated coins in good condition, especially with strong strike details and minimal wear. Over time, many circulated coins were lost or heavily worn, and surviving specimens that meet collector standards are highly prized. From a historical standpoint, the 1950 penny reflects a Canada in the midst of change. The war was over, the economy was booming, and there was optimism for the future. This penny was among the last produced under George VI before the succession of Queen Elizabeth II in 1952, marking the end of an era and making it historically significant. Collectors are fascinated by subtle design elements in the 1950 large date penny. These include the shape and spacing of the numerals, the clarity of the king's portrait, and sometimes slight mint errors such as die cracks or doubled dies that appear on certain specimens. These errors can elevate a coin's rarity and desirability. One important factor contributing to the 1950 penny's market value is its condition scarcity in higher circulated grades. The good condition classification implies a coin that shows clear details but with some smoothing of high points, minor scratches, and light wear. Yet coins maintaining strong detail on the king's features and reverse elements remain highly collectible. Today, the 1950 large date George VI penny in circulated good condition has achieved remarkable auction results, with prices regularly surpassing the $300,000 mark and occasionally going even higher depending on the coin's provenance, grading certification, and auction dynamics. This is due in part to increasing interest from both Canadian and international collectors who see these coins as symbols of a pivotal historical moment combined with impressive aesthetic appeal. Next up, the 1946 Canada George VI 1 cent with a large date in circulated fine condition has recently taken the numismatic world by storm. To understand why this coin has exploded in value, we must begin with its origins. King George VI became monarch in 1936 after the dramatic abdication of his brother, Edward VIII. This marked a transitional moment, not just politically, but numismatically, as the Royal Canadian Mint prepared a new coinage portrait that would span from 1937 to 1952. The George VI penny series became highly collectible due to its rich wartime and post-war context. The 1946 issue comes at a time of post-war economic adjustment. With Canada shifting from a wartime economy back to peacetime production, coin minting resumed more conventional patterns. However, the 1946 1-cent coin features a large date variety where the numerals 1946 appear slightly bolder and more spaced than typical. Though subtle, this design variation is a hallmark that specialists and high-end collectors watch for with intensity. In circulated fine condition, the coin still retains visible detail on the king's portrait, his regal crownless bust facing left alongside most of the rim and field definitions. The reverse displays the iconic maple leaves sprouting from a single stem, flanked by 1 cent and Canada, with the date prominently below. The initials KG of engraver George Kruger Gray appear modestly to the right of the leaves stem, but it's the large date variant that elevates this coin from common to elite. The Royal Canadian Mint produced approximately 56,662,631 1-cent coins in 1946. While that seems like a large mintage, only a fraction of these have survived in fine or better condition. Fewer still exhibit the large date variation, and even fewer retain strong details after nearly 8 decades in circulation. But what's even more impressive is the sudden spike in auction interest over the last 2 years. One fine condition example of the 1946 large date penny sold at a Canadian rare coin auction for over $325,000, more than 10 times the high estimate. Why such a surge in price? A few compelling reasons. First, numismatic demand for George VI coinage has soared internationally, especially from collectors in Europe, Canada, and Australia who admire the king's wartime leadership. Second, this specific date has gained a cult following after a famous private collector sold his complete George VI Canadian set except for the 1946 large date, which was missing. The publicity surrounding the sale created a ripple effect in the market, with buyers hunting aggressively for this elusive piece. There are also rumors in numismatic circles of an undisclosed mint error found on a few 1946 large date coins, possibly a double die on the digits 46 or die clash markings between the maple leaves. While these errors are not universally accepted, yet their speculation alone has caused collectors to pay massive premiums in the hopes of finding one. Experts believe fewer than 10 true circulated fine condition large date specimens with strong reverses remain uncleaned, unpolished, and with natural patina intact. Collectors love the honest, untouched look of coins that show their age but still preserve their core design. The 1946 large date in fine condition reflects years of circulation, yet it somehow survives with legible inscriptions and maple veins. Intact, these aesthetics are increasingly rare in an age where cleaned and altered coins dominate online markets. Let's not forget the influence of online coin communities and social media. TikTok, YouTube, and numismatic forums have amplified awareness of this rare penny, driving new entrants into the market who are willing to pay exorbitant sums. With this increase in demand, prices have skyrocketed. The coin's market value doesn't just rest on scarcity and condition, it's tied to its historical context and emotional weight. Collectors see the 1946 penny as a piece of post-war history, a link to King George VI, and a reminder of a Canada reshaping itself after global conflict. It embodies patriotism, craftsmanship, and an era of industrial resilience. Even fakes have surfaced, including machine-altered dates on 1948 and 1945 cents, forcing collectors to lean on reputable graders like PCGS and IX. Third-party grading has become vital, with top-graded F examples receiving premiums well beyond estimated book values. To date, only a handful of these coins have been professionally authenticated with a large date designation in circulated fine condition. And here's a tip for viewers hoping to discover one of these in their own collections. Examine the shape of the 9 and 6 in 1946 on large date specimens. The 9 tends to have a more open loop, and the 6 curves more generously outward. If your coin matches this trait and is still in natural circulated state without cleaning, you could very well be holding a $300,000 coin. Just imagine the thrill of finding a treasure hiding in plain sight. Next up, the 1943 Canada George VI 1-cent large date in circulated rusty color and dirty condition might seem at first glance like an unremarkable coin. But don't be fooled. Despite its unsightly appearance, oxidation, environmental toning, and grime, this penny is one of the most stunning surprises in the coin collecting world. In fact, one such piece sold recently in a major Canadian heritage coin auction for an eye-popping for $112,000. To understand why this coin is so incredibly valuable, we must return to 1943, a crucial year in the thick of World War II, with materials like copper and bronze becoming increasingly reserved for war munitions. the Royal Canadian Mint faced extraordinary pressure to maintain coin production using available alloys. That year, minting decisions were impacted not only by metal shortages, but also labor shifts, machine wear, and quality control challenges at the mint. Amidst this, the 1943 1-cent coin was produced in typical bronze alloy, but certain batches do. To dye, wear, or planchet impurities produced coins with irregular features. Chief among these anomalies is the large date variety. In this variation, the 1943 is more prominent, thicker, and has wider spacing than the standard strike. The coins showing this version are extremely rare, especially in circulated dirty or rusty condition, an ironic twist, since most collectors traditionally overlook them. Dirty or rusty pennies were once deemed uncollectible, but modern grading houses and investors now prize natural environmental damage as a sign of authenticity and untouched preservation. The 1943 large date coin in question shows significant rust toning, likely from decades in humid storage or buried underground, but it retains clear design details and that unmistakable large date imprint. The obverse features the left-facing effigy of King George VI, with the Latin inscription Georgius vid. G. Rex et ind. Imp around his profile. Even through the grime, the portrait silhouette and finer hair details remain distinguishable. The reverse showcases the proud Canadian maple leaves, paired and veined, still discernible beneath the reddish oxidation. The word Canada and the 1-cent denomination are faint, but legible. It's not a coin of beauty but of story, grit, and authenticity. The Royal Canadian Mint reported a mintage of 89,111,969 for the 1943 1-cent coin, but fewer than 50 large date variants are believed to have survived with obvious corrosion and environmental wear. Ironically, the damage may have preserved them from further circulation, as such coins were often discarded or forgotten. One rusty specimen was discovered in an old family tool chest in Nova Scotia. Another reportedly came from a jar buried during the 1950s, but what truly launched the 1943 large date rusty penny into elite status was a single dramatic auction moment in 2023. A collector from British Columbia submitted the coin for evaluation after being turned away by multiple dealers who considered it junk. A third-party grader identified it not only as the rare large date, but also verified that its surface corrosion was natural, not artificially induced. This allowed it to pass authenticity checks, and despite its high appeal rating being just 2 out of 10 entered the auction market. The bidding war that followed shocked everyone. The final hammer price? For $112,750, setting a Canadian penny record for a coin with surface damage. Collectors now hunt for similar examples. Notably, the dirty condition has become a badge of originality. The market has grown for naturally toned or rusted copper coins, especially with verifiable pedigree. This coin story has been featured in blogs, Canadian coin magazines, and even on national radio. There are also whispers that this specific variation has a micro-error, a ghost shadow date below the real date, likely a trace of diary use. It's so faint that only coins with minimal cleaning reveal it. This potential error could drive prices even higher, especially if more examples are found. Numismatic institutions and private investors are now pouring millions into early George VI coinage. Market indicators suggest that demand for untouched, damaged but rare varieties is outpacing even mint-state coins. As with all markets, rarity, provenance, and a compelling backstory are king, and the 1943 rusty large date checks all 3 boxes. If you're watching this and wondering if your old, dirty Canadian penny from 1943 might be one of these gems, don't clean it. Keep it as is and consult a reputable coin grading service. You could be holding one of the most undervalued pieces in North American coin history. Our next coin is the legendary Canada 1 cent 1969 with Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, featuring the rare large date variety. This coin is often mistaken for its common small date version, but collectors and investors know that the large date version is one of the holy grails of modern Canadian numismatics. Why? Because of a rare and incredibly short production run that occurred due to a transitional design shift by the Royal Canadian Mint. In 1969, the Mint produced two varieties of the penny, a large date and a small date. The majority of coins released into circulation were of the small date type. However, a tiny number of the large date variety managed to escape into public hands before the design change was enforced across the board. This oversight created an accidental rarity one that would take decades to fully appreciate in the coin collecting community. The large date 1969 penny has distinctive numeral features. The numbers in the date appear more pronounced and spaced wider than on the small date. Most notably, the number 9 in the date tends to be much longer and hooks downward more prominently. But what makes this coin a high-value target is the estimated mintage only a few hundred to a couple thousand at most. It's estimated that fewer than 20 confirmed examples exist in fine circulated condition, or better today, making this coin ultra-rare and almost mythical in collector circles. And even among those few survivors, the condition significantly affects the price. While pristine mint state examples are known to have fetched $300,000 or more at private auctions, even a fine condition circulated example worn but still clearly legible can command staggering prices upwards of $150,000 to $200,000, depending on demand and bidding competition. In a recent numismatic auction, a 1969 large date Canada 1 cent in fine circulated condition sold for an astonishing $187,500 after fierce bidding between multiple international collectors. The beer, a private investor from Europe, considered it a key missing piece in their Queen Elizabeth II coin series and was willing to pay well above the expected range. What's more, coins in lesser condition darkened, lightly scratched, or slightly corroded are still being picked up for $80,000 to $120,000, provided the large date variety is clearly visible. The obverse of the coin displays the young effigy of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machen. The portrait was first introduced in 1965 and used throughout the late 1960s and early 1970s. It features Her Majesty wearing a tiara, facing right, surrounded by the inscription Elizabeth to D.G. Regina. The reverse carries the iconic maple leaf twig, a national symbol of Canada. The reverse design by G.E. Kruger Gray remained unchanged for decades and is one of the most recognized images in Canadian coinage history. Yet despite the familiarity, the date variation turns this coin from ordinary to extraordinary. There are no official mint records acknowledging how many 1969 large date pennies were produced, which adds to the coin's mystique. Experts believe the Royal Canadian Mint may have struck the coins as test pieces or early production runs before standardizing the smaller date format. As a result, each surviving example has become a major trophy item for collectors. The error itself is not the result of a typical die crack or minting flaw, it's a variation caused by using an earlier date punch in the production cycle. This type of mint variation is highly desirable because it represents an actual deviation from the official production plan, not a random defect. Collectors interested in this piece should be aware of the high volume of counterfeit coins in the market. Many common 1969 small date pennies have been altered or manipulated to resemble the large date variety, especially on online auction platforms. Authentication by a professional grading company, such as PCGS or NGC, is crucial before making any investment in a 1969 large date cent. Coins that have been slabbed and certified command higher trust and often sell faster and at higher prices. For Canadian coin collectors and global investors, the 1969 large date 1 cent coin is not just a financial investment, it's a cultural artifact, a reminder of the country's minting history and the power of rare errors. The fact that such a small object, barely 19 millimeters in diameter, can be worth more than a Lamborghini or a down payment on a mansion is a testament to the passionate and ever-growing world of numismatics. If you have an old change jar, it might be time to dust it off and grab a magnifying glass. You never know, that reddish-brown coin sitting at the bottom might just be your retirement plan in disguise. Thanks for watching Valuable Coins. If you enjoyed learning about these hidden Canadian treasures, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, the next fortune might already be in your pocket. Stay curious and keep collecting.